The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, my name is Geoffrey Ross, and I'm the Assistant Director at the Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency for the Development Department, overseeing community development and federal programs. And one of our programs that we have here is the Rapid Rehousing program that is supported by the Emergency Solutions Grant that comes from the Office of Community Planning and Development over at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. What you'll see is we have a slide that highlights how we engage through progressive engagement to try and assist individuals that are currently experiencing homelessness in our community. We have a coordinated entry system that is operating on a more limited scale currently at this time, and we are trying to expand it to include all of our homeless programs. But for the time being, one of the key things that occurs when you come into our system is that usually you first contact as a homeless individual is with either a navigator or a service provider out at one of our shelters or facilities. And when you make that contact and you begin to interact with our homeless service providers, they do a VI SPDAT, generally speaking, and so that kind of enters you into our homeless system to be tracked. From that point, as you're coming in, and when you're ready to receive service, for many individuals, we try and see if the Rapid Rehousing program will serve as the most effective tool to help alleviate someone's homeless situation. And we really try and do this because we have bought in as our community that Rapid Rehousing can serve as the backbone for trying to serve the maximum number of individuals experiencing homelessness in the Sacramento area. Now, what occurs is you generally get the option to be referred to the Rapid Rehousing orientation, and that referral is regardless of whatever your VI SPDAT score is. Again, the SPDAT really kind of serves as that initial documentation that you're entering our homeless system, but it's not used to decide whether or not someone is suitable for rapid rehousing. Really what occurs is when the individual goes to the rapid rehousing orientation, they receive a good bit of information about what the program is, what the expectations for the participant are, as well as what our expectation of our providers is. And so it allows for an individual that is looking to address their homeless situation to be able to make a choice whether or not they want to participate in this particular program. So, as you'll see, someone can opt in or they can opt out. And again, that's regardless of the VI SPDAT. Once someone opts in, what we do is a more detailed assessment that allows for us to really kind of determine what level of interaction is going to be required to really try and overcome an individual's homeless situation. And it's either a heavy touch or a light touch. Generally, rapid rehousing, you have to have case management, and that can be an initial one-time assessment where maybe it's a really light touch and we're able to rehouse someone pretty quickly, or it can be an ongoing recurrence of meetings based on a higher level of need that the individual household might have to be able to locate housing and to overcome whatever barriers to get back into the housing market. And so what occurs is that once an individual is brought in, generally speaking, our provider will bring them in as long as we have the documentation that they're homeless. And we do not really run any income verifications at that initial intake. What occurs is from that initial intake through 3 months, it's our provider really working with the household to try and see if we can get that intervention in place and get them housed as quickly as possible. If we're not successful to house an individual or a family within that first 3 months, then the provider does a reassessment. At that time, we do check income and try and make sure that the household remains eligible and that they're actively participating, doing all the different things that we really need for them to do, and to also really make sure that we're understanding their needs as clearly as possible. And so that gets us into the next 3-month period where, again, our providers working with the household from 3 to 6 months. And generally speaking, the majority of our households, what we've experienced, and today we've housed over 300 households using rapid rehousing. This is where, in that first 6 months, we've seen a really high degree of success. The majority of our folks are successfully housed within 6 months. But again, if they're not successfully housed within 6 months, the provider does one more assessment to make sure everything is up to date and to check in on how things are progressing. And that gets us all the way up to month 9. Now, with rapid rehousing, we have a maximum of 24 months worth of intervention time that we can assist a household on. And so when we get to month 9, if rapid rehousing has not been successful in housing and stabilizing an individual or family, what we really want to do is that provider then needs to interact with my agency and with me directly as the administrator. And we really kind of touch base on the individual household and really try to understand what is it going to take for them to be successful under rapid rehousing. Are they making good progress, they're just not stabilized yet? Or maybe rapid rehousing isn't ultimately going to be the appropriate intervention and they might need permanent, ongoing, affordable housing, either permanent supportive or just regulated affordable. Either way, what really this interaction with my office is an opportunity for us to touch base and make sure that if we're going to have to continue to assist this household beyond 9 months, that we have a clear indication that we can navigate any wait lists or any other obstacles that might be out there, so that ultimately when we exit someone from the program, we're successfully exiting them into a permanent housing solution. And so at 9 months, what happens is that rapid rehousing can turn into bridge housing and kind of waiting for this final intervention to be identified and to be able to be made available. And so to date, we've had only about 2% of our households reach this 9-month threshold. And so we have not to date had anyone exceed the 24-month time period. So we do anticipate the more that we continue to try and really serve the hardest to serve, that at some point we'll trigger this. But again, at this point in time, that has not been our experience. With the successes that we've been enjoying and experiencing, we've been seeing that the average cost for each household participating in our program is roughly $6,500. And again, over 300 households, we have a 98% success rate of housing folks within those first 6 months. And also to date, we have not had any individuals that were successfully exited out of rapid rehousing fall back into our homeless system, where we've seen them come back in either through a provider or some other touch point and be re-entered back into our HMIS system. So that is kind of how we are currently engaging with progressive engagement in the Sacramento region as it pertains to rapid rehousing. We do believe that this is the appropriate intervention for probably a majority of the folks experiencing homelessness in our community. And what that allows for us then to do is also to then realign our resources and to be able to, over time, redirect resources in an amount that can really hopefully help the folks with the highest needs that have not been able to be successfully touched by this particular intervention, and that would be to allow us for doing additional permanent supportive housing and those types of activities. So I thank you for joining me today and wish you luck in your community. Thank you, and bye-bye. All right, Jen, is that good?